Welcome to the Coastal Kitchen. I'm Karen Mashers, your host, and today we're going to be cooking my version, which I call Mexi-Karen, of Tex-Mex, Southwestern, and Mexican type foods. I love those flavors, and to me, when I experiment with things, I love to use the things that I really like. We're going to start out with a Dulce de Leche cheesecake. Lovely dessert. It takes a little bit of time, and you need to make sure that you make it way before you need it. The first thing I have are ground pecans. I just put them in my food processor. I've got about a cup and a half, and I've got a cup and a half of graham cracker crumbs. We're going to pop that right in there. I've got some sugar, 3 tablespoons, and I have a stick of room temperature butter. And I'm just going to pop that in right on top. That goes in the bowl. I'm going to throw that in there. This is where you can get your hands dirty because you're going to use your fingers to incorporate all those ingredients. You want that butter to get a little melty so everything comes together. It's going to be a pasty crust, and we're going to put it in a springform pan that I have already buttered, and butter it generously because you want it to come out very nicely. We're going to put it in a 350 oven and bake it for about 10 minutes while we're making our filling. So this takes a little bit of finger work. We're also going to have baked cod, oven baked cod, with a pineapple tomato salsa to go along with this, with saffron rice and black beans. It's a meal that I enjoy eating, and it's a great meal to serve family night because it is quick, or it's a great meal to have for a party because you can do it on a buffet scale. Okay, let's take a look at this. See how nice and crumbly it is? All the butter is incorporated, and what I'm going to do is transfer into my springform pan. Let's bring it up here so everybody can see. Spread it out, and I like a nice thick crust on the bottom, and you want to make sure you pat it down real good. And I like to come up the sides a little bit because I like my crusts a whole lot. So since I like to eat them, I make as much of it as I can. If you want, you can also make a little extra of this crust, and when the cake is finished, you can sprinkle it over the top. Okay, take a look at that. Nicely lining the pan. It's nice and even and tightly packed. So let's put that right in the oven. And look at my clock so I know what time to get it out. Let's put this over here. Now let's start with our filling. I've got 1 block of cream cheese in my bowl already, and I'm just going to put my mixer on. Get that mixed up just a touch, and I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of sugar. Get that incorporated into the cream cheese. I love cream cheese. I love cream cheese anything. All right, now I've got some cornstarch. The cornstarch goes in right on top of the cream cheese. Let's get that all mixed in. And we're going to have 2 eggs go into the mixture, but we're going to put in 1 at a time. So let me see if I can do this. 1 egg. And we're going to get it all mixed in before we put the other one in. Let's get that mixer up just about to medium now. That's good. And 1 more. We've got this thing going. Now what I want to do is stop it for just a second. I want to put in 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And after I put in my 2 tablespoons of vanilla, or teaspoons, I'm sorry, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, I'm going to open up my package of cream cheese, and I'm going to put 1 more package of cream cheese in here. Let's get this going. Want all the lumps out. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Let's put that other one in real fast. This ends up making about a 2-inch cheesecake, 2 to 3 inches. So it's a lovely slice when you get ready to have dessert. And one thing I like to do is I like to think about how I'm going to serve it. And on this cheesecake, I think I'm going to use some chocolate. And if you melt your own chocolate, you might think about putting just a pinch of chili in it, chili powder, because Mexican chocolate is a little bit hot with that little bit of chili powder. And I'm using regular chocolate today, but I'm going to drizzle some on the top. You can serve it with your favorite fruit too. All right, now what makes it what it is? I have a whole can of Dulce de Leche, which is a caramel, lovely caramel that you can buy right in the grocery store in the Mexican Southwestern food section. And we're going to make that. See how wonderful that turns? Great flavors in here. It smells wonderful. All right, we've got that incorporated, and we have 1 more lovely ingredient to go in, and that's a 1/2 cup of heavy or whipping cream. This just makes it so creamy. After you put the whipping cream in, make sure you don't over stir it, because you just want to get that cream right in the mixture, and it makes it so velvety. It's just about time for me to take my crust out of the oven. So what I'm going to do is finish this up real fast and get my crust out of the oven, because it does have to cool completely before we put the filling in here. So I'm going to clean up. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Since 1957, Food Lion has been offering the highest quality products at low prices with great service. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
All right, it's time to get this crust out of the oven. Let's get that out, put it right over here. I'm going to let it cool, because we can't put that filling in until it has cooled. And I've gotten everything ready to make our corny cornbread. This is an absolute delight. I love cornbread, and you can make this cornbread as spicy or as plain as you like. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to put my oil right in my bowl. I'm going to put my creamed corn right on top, and I'm going to put a cup of sour cream right on top of that. Now, I'm going to just stir that around. I want it well mixed together, and it will all come together. That oil that I've used is vegetable oil, and it's about 2 tablespoons less a cup. Okay? I'm going to get my other bowl right here, and I'll get my cup of cornmeal. Goes right into this bowl, and I'm going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just so it's got a little bit in there. Okay, got that mixed up, and now I'm going to put my corn, oil, and sour cream right on top. Let's give that a little stir, getting nice and wet, and we're going to add 1 egg in at a time. That's one. Just give it a good poke and nice stir. And then we'll add number 2. Poke and a stir. And I have some green chilies right here that if I want to make it a little bit warmer, I can. And then I have just a can of Rotel tomatoes. And if I'm going to put any of the Rotel tomato chili sauce in, what I'll do is I'll measure that by the tablespoon. I like mine hot, so I'd put 2 tablespoons in. If you want it mild, I'd probably only put 1. So we're going to put about a tablespoon of the green chilies in, and I'm gonna, just for me, put in a tablespoon of the Rotels. Give it a nice stir. Don't want to mix it too much. And I've got an 8x8 pan that I have already greased. This is going to go into a 350 oven, and it usually takes about 40 minutes. When the top starts getting a little golden brown, you can test it with a toothpick, and if it comes out clean, it's ready. Get that all in there. This is really a crowd pleaser. Okay. I'm gonna just shake it around so it gets to all the corners. And this is going right into the oven. And we'll take a look at this now. All right, it's still cooling. Let me get this bowl out of the way, and we'll start with our rice and our black beans. I've got everything ready right over here. Let's set that right there. Let me get my pot for the rice. And let's turn that on real fast. Now I'm going to turn my water on for the rice on high. There we go. Now I have taken 2 cans of black beans, and I have rinsed them and put them in my pan with 1 can of water. I want that to go just like it is for about 15 minutes. I want it to boil, then I'm going to turn it down to low. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt, season it up a little bit. Oops. And if you use dried black beans, what you're going to do is you're going to have to soak them overnight for about 12 hours in water. Then you can spice them up with garlic. You can spice it with marjoram, cumin, however you like it. Put some onions in there too. Oh, that's wonderful. It's boiling already. Let's get that rice in. Now I've got jasmine rice. It's yellow rice, and it's turned that way because of the jasmine. And if you choose to use white rice, you can turn it into saffron rice by using about 4 or 5 strands of the saffron, just toasted a little bit in a shallow saucepan and add it to your rice after you get the rice in. Saffron's a little bit expensive. You want to have that wonderful flavor though in your rice. Okay, stir this around just a minute. Bring this back to a boil. And then we're going to put the lid on it and turn it down to low. Let's check this one more time. Oh, I think we're good here. All right, I'm putting this into a large shallow pan because we're going to fill this up with a water bath. We're going to go about, I'd say, an inch up the side of the pan once I get the filling in. Let's get that filling right on top of that crust. It's nice and thick. We're going to spread it out with the spatula. This is the one place where you want to make sure that you do cook it following the directions, because cheesecake is a funny thing. It's just going to jiggle a little bit when you take it out of the oven, and that's what you want. You want it to be just what you might feel is underdone. All right, let's spread it out all sides. And I'm going to turn on my hot water real fast and get ready to put it in the oven. All in, all done. Now I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit, and I'm going to fill this up to about an inch. And into the oven it goes. About an hour. All right, there we go. Let's move it back to the center. But I do need to peek at my cornbread. In it goes, and it'll stay for about an hour. Let's take a look at that cornbread. It's working. Okay, my rice has come to a nice rolling boil. I'm going to turn it down to low and put the cover on. And we're going to be back in a few minutes because we've got some cod to make with some pineapple tomato salsa.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Holden Brothers Farm Market in Charlotte for supplying the fresh produce on this week's show. For over 25 years, the Holden Brothers Farm Market has specialized in the freshest locally grown produce on their 250 acres in Charlotte. Swing by their indoor market located near mile marker 10 on Highway 17 or check them out online at holdenbrothersfarmmarket.com.
All right, I have 4 cod fillets. Cod's a wonderful whitefish, and if you didn't know, October is National Fish and Seafood Month. Now, I have my little workstation set up. I've got some flour, milk, I've got half cornbread, half flour right here, and I've got a baking dish with 2 tablespoons of melted butter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some salt and pepper in my flour. And I'm going to give that a quick mix. And I'm going to mix my flour and cornmeal mix. Just mix it up so it's nice and incorporated here, because we're going to take the cod and we're going to dip each piece in all 3. Okay. Fingers. All right, let's get that nice and covered. Now it's going to go into the milk. And the next step is the cornmeal flour mix. I want you to shake off any excess and lay it right in your baking dish. And let's start with number 2. And last one, here it comes. All right, let's wash those fingers off real fast. And I'm going to put a little bit more salt and pepper on the top. And I use paprika on top because I like the flavor and the look that it gives. And I just happen to use Hungarian hot paprika because I like it hot. And this is where you do it the way that you like it. A little bit of pepper. Just a little more salt. And I'm going to pop some paprika on here. All right, it's ready to go in the oven and my cornbread's ready to come out. So let me grab my hot pads. Gosh, that smells good. Take a look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Set that right there for the moment, and I'm going to pop my fish right in. Same degree oven, 350, and this is going to stay in about 10 to 12 minutes till it becomes really white and flaky. After it finishes that stage, we're going to put it on broil. I want to brown the top just a little bit before I take it out. Okay, let's go to the salsa. Now this is the part that makes it the Mexi-Karen. I love to have different kinds of salsas with everything. And what I've got is a tomato and pineapple salsa that I add onions to, jalapeno to, a little bit of lime juice, and we're going to take this tomato and slice it very thinly. Keep the seeds and everything inside in because it just adds to the flavor, makes it nice and juicy. And I'm going to get nice little dices on this. Okay. Now I've got some already mixed up in there, so I think that's enough. We're going to take our spring onions and put right on top, and I'm going to mix that around. And I'm going to need a bigger bowl. Let me grab one real fast. I like lots of salsa, so we've got to do a big dish right here. Okay, after I get my onions and my tomatoes in, I'm going to put my pineapple in, and I've chunked fresh pineapple. It's going to give you a little bit of juice too, so pour it all in. Take a look, isn't that pretty so far? Now I'm going to get a lime. Just cut your lime in half. And squeeze the juice of 1/2 of this lime right over the top. Gives it that brightness, that freshness that enhances all of the flavors here. Let's put that right there. And I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of cilantro and dice it up real fast. Get those fingers out of the way. The only other thing I've got to do is do my pepper. And I'm going to use jalapeno. I've got a poblano pepper here also. And it's just a little bit hotter. So I'm going to use only half of this pepper. You might want to use even less. Because it does make it very, very hot. I'm getting all those seeds out. And we're going to dice it nice and small. One more thing that I like in my salsa, which most people don't think about in this kind of a salsa, is cucumber. So I'm going to get a cucumber out of my refrigerator. And I'm going to cut it into nice small slices. I'm going to peel it first. Let's peel it real quick. And I'm starting to smell that fish. Okay, ends off. And I'm going to slice it straight down the center. And I'm going to make about 4 small cuts. I've got a lovely thin cucumber, which is great for salsas. And we're going to cut this up nice and small and pop that in. You want your salsa to stay in the refrigerator for probably 30 minutes before you're ready to serve it, because you want it nice and icy cold. Fish is hot, salsa's cold and spicy. All right. That goes right in there. Let's get those last little bits and give it a good stir. Okay. What I'm going to do now is check on my rice. Take a good look. We're going to have that plated up very shortly. Take a look at my rice. Make sure that it's doing good. My beans are just about done. I'm going to turn those off. We're going to wait for that fish to be done, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
Rice is all done. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of cilantro in my yellow rice. Mix it up really nice. Get all that lovely flavor in there. And I'm going to take just a little tiny bit of lime juice, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of lime juice over the top. And what I'm going to do next is wonderful. Okay. Let's get a nice big scoop of rice and put it on the side of my plate right here. And I'm going to make a lovely little well in the center. I'm going to take some of my black beans. I'm going to let it drain just a tiny bit. Put my black beans into the well. We're going to take a nice dollop of sour cream, put right on top, and cover that with spring onions. Oh, this is absolutely wonderful. It smells delicious. I know that when you try it, you'll love it. Let's put this right over here. We've got to put a little bit of salsa on the side where the fish is. I've got a little lime, and this salsa is great with the rice too, so don't hesitate to use it either way. I've got my cheesecake all ready. I've drizzled it with chocolate, got some whipped cream on it, and I love strawberries, so threw a couple of those on the side. It's been wonderful having you in the kitchen again. Hope you'll join us next time at the Coastal Kitchen.